City of Pflugerville Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Thursday, September 21st. It is 7 p.m. Citizens communication. The commission welcomes comment on parks and recreation items. Public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action, discussion, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Do we have anybody from the public who would like to speak? Okay, there being none, we will move to item 3A, approval of the minutes. Discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on August 17th, 2023. Everybody get a chance to read them? They were in the packet. Any corrections? All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Carol motions to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chelsea. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 3B, discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Commission work session on August 24th, 2023. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Do we have a second?
Oh.
Michael, second. Too slow. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. We're going to move up, discuss and consider 5A. Discuss and consider action on Cameron 96 planned unit development multifamily parkland dedication. Kelsey.
All right. We have Larry Foos, our Parks Project Manager, is going to present. I'm gonna give him the driver's seat. You do also have a map in front of you. The one that's going to be on the presentation is a little small, so we just brought a printout for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. The Cameron 96 PUD consists of 96 acres. It's got 84 single-family lots and 260 residential yard home units for a total of 344 dwelling units. And this aerial right here shows the property in a regional setting. The yellow-green color is the development property, and then the light green areas are public parkland. And then the lower right-hand corner shows 1849 Park. So this land is important from a continuity standpoint in relation to all of our park property.
Okay, let me acquaint myself. Where the major streets? Where's
Cameron Road runs
Is that one that's
that
going
angular,
down?
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Cameron right here.
Okay.
1849's over here.
Okay, so the
And
big
these
dip.
These are the existing houses back behind Weiss or Watson.
Gotcha.
They're all built on.
Okay, thank you.
You oriented now?
Huh?
You oriented now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Low Cinderella.
Yeah.
Okay, as you know, well, let me start with, based on the number of units, the 340 we talked about, and the development acreage, the required dedication is 6.29 acres. Okay? Now, what the development is proposing is outside of the floodplain, 9.19 acres of dedication, and inside of the floodplain, an additional 29.91 acres. So, and then they only get 50% credit for the floodplain acreage. So that takes that amount down to 14.95. And if you add that 14.95 to the 9.19, you get the 14 acres total provided after 50% reduction. The parkland fee requirement associated with that, because there's two aspects of the parkland dedication. There's the acreage requirement and there's a parkland development fee requirement. The parkland development fee requirement, based on the number of dwelling units, we've broken it down into two fees because there's different density levels for the two types of development. The single family fee required is $62,580, and the yard home fee requirement is $174,200 for a total of parkland development fee $236,780.
What is a yard home? I've not heard that term precisely before.
I asked the same question earlier today.
Okay.
So my understanding is it could be like a garden home and some apartment style type housing.
Okay.
Am I explaining that fairly correctly?
Yeah, I can explain.
explain it after if you like, or now. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, how does that differ from single family?
Well, there's different density requirement. You plugged in these numbers in our calculation, and based on the multipliers associated with single family and the multipliers associated with the yard home, the multifamily requirement, you get different parkland development fees.
So the green area, all the green areas on our printed map is what we're talking about. And
Yes.
the dark green is the non-floodplain and the light green is the floodplain?
Yes.
Okay.
What's required based on the calculation is the 6.29. They're going above and beyond that with the other two amounts. And again,
Is this in the city or in the ETJ? Does it matter?
this is in the city
It is in the
limits.
city,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. This drawing shows the light green area is the
Oh, got ahead of you.
floodplain, 29.91 acres of floodplain. The dark green is the amount of acreage outside of the floodplain. In addition to this acreage that they are proposing, they are additionally proposing 2,700 linear feet of 10-foot concrete public connector trail, and that's the one in the purple. And then in addition to that, there's over 3,500 linear feet of 10 feet concrete public regional trail, and that's the orange. So they will construct that at their cost.
So when I Googled this, the newspaper article I found talked about the Wilbarger Greenbelt. And I couldn't find any other information online about that. Is that something that rings a bell? Sounded like it was a county project or something.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't find anything either. It just,
We have a trails master plan from
Right, yeah.
2014 that mentions a few different public trail connectors, and one of them is along the Wilbarger Creek Greenbelt. But that's where that terminology came from in regards to the connection. But it is on the city's trails master plan.
okay, so I Googled that Wilbarger Greenbelt and all I found was some county stuff out in Manor and Elkins. So I
Yeah,
didn't- okay.
interesting.
Which the creek runs all the way down that
Yes.
way, so yeah.
And then here's a drawing from the developer about what the trailhead could possibly look like. And with the public trail, what they're proposing is the two trails that I talked about, the over 6,300 linear feet. Two low water crossings, water fountain, bollard lighting, benches, petway stations, and trail directional signage. And then there's the engineer, or not the engineers, the cost estimate for the entire project of over $1.2 million.
Four petway stations among how many total miles?
What's,
Justin, how many total?
that total was over 6,000 square feet, so it's 5,280 in a mile. It's like 1,000 feet more than a mile.
Okay. So four within a mile, yeah, okay, that's good.
Having just biked along Gilliland Creek after the rains last week, it's kind of a bummer that these are just low water crossings because they're not usable when it rains and they get mud covered after it rains and stuff. But I guess we can discuss that with the developers.
So again, with the parkland development fee required, it's 6.29 acres. What they are proposing is 39.1. That difference is 32.81 above the required total. And we are also working with the developers on a maintenance agreement to offset some of the maintenance required for us to do down there.
What would we be maintaining?
Right,
Just
yes, yeah.
the mowing and stuff like that, or,
Yeah.
okay,
With, of course, the people on the trail, there's gonna be trash and
okay.
whatever else happens down there.
So the objectivity is to have a cooperative agreement where it's not completely the city's responsibility?
Correct.
Okay.
This may be obvious though. Why are they giving us more than they have to?
Typically, a lot of times we see developers give or dedicate the city areas in the floodplain because they're not developable.
Yep.
Like they can't develop on them. A lot of times it's dependent on location, but for this particular parcel, it's important to us for the connectivity of the trail.
It's a sweet deal for us.
No, it's
Yeah.
great, yeah.
Yeah.
Floodplain makes great parks. I mean,
Good job.
with
Trails
with
and-
limitations, yeah.
Yes,
It
and
makes
trails
great
and
trails,
connectivity.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll ask before Jennifer. Did they submit like a shade plan for the rest of the development and stuff? And really asking to. I mean, this is great and generous, but if we have any resources, certainly helping even support them if there's an opportunity to put in more trees.
Yeah.
Are you talking about in the development or in the?
Yeah, outside of the park area, right? I'm assuming there's like green areas and berms, and if they have yards and stuff like that, I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna. It's one thing for a developer to come in, right, and pick like the cheapest tree ever, or like Junior gets to pick them and they're a lot better and suited, like, and we track them and we have them registered and all that other stuff.
We have an arborist now.
Yes, and
Right.
now we have Dave, our
right.
city forester, so he's on all of these plan reviews as well, in addition to Larry.
So-
And so he's reviewing all of the tree plans for all developments, and creating a standard so that, to make sure that they are trees that are conducive to this area and ones that we wanna see in the parkland
Sweet.
and in the development.
So in addition to the public trail amenities that we've been talking about, the development will also have the private amenities for the residents. And a few of the highlights are the pool and yoga lawn, the indoor fitness center, dog park, open space park, and then a trail loop within the site. And then this is just an example of a pedestrian corridor that you might see with this development.
Is this an example of one of those yard homes or
Yard
no?
Yes.
Or s-
Yes,
yes?
this is the front of the yard homes and how they kind of face each other, and this is the pedestrian corridor that is kind of one of our popular areas for folks to come out and socialize.
Okay, can you
Jess,
hear her okay?
if you wanna
Or does she
come
need
sit
to?
up here.
Okay,
You can sit in this empty chair right here.
yeah,
by
if you don't
Chelsea.
mind.
Jess,
That way we get it on the recording.
and Jess King is with the development,
Yeah.
so she's been who we've been working with, so she's here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. So is that maintained by the developer, or do the residents have to maintain that? Is that shared
is-
space, common space?
This is common space, yes.
Okay.
And just like, so the yard homes are maintained just like an apartment complex, so fully 100% maintained by the community, kind of like an HOA. So the folks that live in these homes do not maintain any of the outside of the home, and they even have little yards in the back, and those are maintained as well for them. Yeah, so it's
Okay.
really a great setup.
Okay.
Everyone gets a backyard, which people really like. So it's a great transition product between like someone that's in a traditional apartment to someone that wants to buy a home but can't afford to buy a home, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So these are intended to be rentals
These,
or
yeah,
purchase? Okay.
this is rental.
Okay.
Another drawing showing the dog park and the yoga lawn.
This is actually the open space yard that was part of the PUD. So a lot of these images were in the PUD, and the PUD was negotiated for about a year in zoning. So a lot of these things that you see were big pieces, like when you asked about the land and why did we dedicate it. These were big asks from the city, and that's why we did it. Things that were big asks from council, that sort of thing. So this lawn was an ask. The size of the dog park was dictated in the PUD as well. So it has a certain size requirement. So in the back of this open space lawn, we have a fire pit that looks out onto the green belt, and grills and seating and that sort of thing. So yeah.
So is that the whole space of the dog park right there?
The fenced in area is,
Okay,
yes.
So that's pretty small.
It's actually pretty big. It's about, I think it's 2,500 square feet, yeah.
And those are private amenities.
This is a
for
private
development.
amenity, yes,
Right.
that's correct.
But I'm just thinking if you've got 333, 300 and something units, it's not a lot of space for, even if half the people have a dog. It's
Yeah,
not very
well,
much space.
they do have backyards. Each person has a backyard, fenced-in backyard, and then we have the open space as well, so.
Okay.
And these amenities, Jess, would they be for the yard home users, not the multifamily or the single family?
That's correct, yeah. This is just for the yard home side. Mhm.
Okay.
And there's 260 units in the multifamily.
260, yes, on the multifamily side, that's right. And these are sized, we have these sized adequately for what would be needed for that size of a development. So if we needed a larger size, you know, we would size it up, yeah.
And with that, staff recommends approval as proposed and open it up to questions, comments, discussion.
Well, I'll bring up the question I thought of earlier. I mean, I'm sure it would be a huge cost to make the crossings above the creek a little bit more elevated.
Yeah.
But,
So the original plan had a big spanning bridge that connected the two. And it was about don't quote me, but it was several $1 million.
bridges, I
So-
know. Anytime you get off the ground, the cost goes up a
We
lot. I
had
know.
to
Yeah.
redesign it.
Okay.
So that was in the original plan, and then we had to figure out a different way to do it because of the cost. But it would have been, yeah, it would have been a different plan, because that creek does go in pretty deep in certain areas. And we actually put the crossings in different parts a little further north in order to make it easier to navigate the lands too. So it's a really pretty piece of
I
land.
mean, when it rains, a lot of our trails are a mess already, so it's no worse than what we already have.
I will say though that both of those creek crossings, we had to get nationwide permits for. So they are designed adequately for the flow that will happen in that area. So they should withstand the flooding that occurs. So,
And the railings?
Have you
those,
seen the new
those
rail-
don't
Have
have
you seen the new
railings.
railings that were just put up? Underneath Pecan Street, right? The giant. My son's a welder, so yeah, they're like 2 by 2.
They're substantial.
Yeah, like I said, I just biked through there the other day.
They're gonna last.
And I have one other
This time.
comment. You brought up trees, and we are putting in as many trees as we can. It's a very high code here for trees. That was in our PUD as well. We had to put about 4 trees per house for the requirement here. And it was more than we actually could even get into the site plan, to be honest. So we had to get really creative with how we laid that out. It took a lot of work. The planning staff was really gracious with us on timing. So we absolutely put in as many trees as we could on this project, so.
How will you run the irrigation to the trees?
Underground.
I mean, are you gonna have irrigation? Are you gonna have the little bags? I don't think we allow those anymore, do we?
We have all underground irrigation,
Okay.
absolutely, yes. It's
Okay.
been very difficult to get it all in there, yes, working.
Okay, good.
So, yep.
So
Were you gonna say something?
do we have a long-range plan to connect this up, to continue on each end of the creek,
Yes.
basically?
Yes. Yeah, that's something that we look at every time we see development plans come in front of us. Larry and myself, we're looking at connectivity throughout, especially the creek, anything that
Yeah.
aligns with the creeks. Yes, sir.
Yes. Is the plan to connect with the 10-foot wide concrete as well?
Yes.
So that's consistent for biking and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think it's a pretty cool plan. Like the images.
All right, thank you very much.
Of course, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Okay, this is a discuss and consider. So if there are no more questions, would anyone like to make a recommendation?
I recommend to approve.
Okay, thank you, Chelsea. Chelsea recommends approval. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Jennifer. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, let's go back up to 4A. That was the only one we had, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
okay. So discussion regarding director's updates, including information about project status updates, upcoming special events, and staffing.
All right. I'm gonna try to channel my inner Shane.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
I'm trying to bring the same energy that Shane brings. But we have a few updates for you tonight. So the Parks and Rec Open Space Master Plan was approved with the first reading on September the 12th. The council was really supportive of the document, as were you. And we have the second reading and final adoption on the 26th. So that's the Tuesday after. The next Tuesday, next Tuesday. And then we've already scheduled with Barry Dunn. They'll be here on that Tuesday night, and they're going to stay overnight and then work with staff that next Wednesday for an implementation workshop. So we're really excited to not waste any time and get to work implementing the master plan. Next, we have a few updates on some playground replacements. We have a punch out at Hanging Rock Park. So it's almost ready and complete and open for play. That one's really cool. It has a zip line that was published.
It's a block from my house. I've seen
Oh,
people using the
perfect.
zip line.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've been tempted, but I have dogs strapped to me. I walk past. I don't think they want a zip line.
That's good to know that people are using it, and it's going to be a really great addition to the park system. And then Withridge Park was also completed. That's the one in the picture there. Has a brand new playground and a brand new shade covering it. And then we also have Royal Point Park coming up. That playground has been ordered, so it'll be in the near future replaced. Some CIP project updates. We have Will Barger Creek Park Phase 2. We have bid openings and a selection of general contractor early next week that will then go to council for approval and construction. So that's the second phase of Will Barger Creek Park. We also have 1849 Park Pole Barn. That's on the city council agenda for approval to select a general contractor. So the pole barn will be annex of a maintenance shop for Junior and his staff out at 1849. And then we have Bull's House renovations. That's the picture you see there. That's at Heritage Park. That is going to be the new Parks Administration office. And that's anticipated for completion in late October. We were just there today. It's looking really nice. We also have a Urban Forester update. We mentioned Dave earlier. He hosted his first volunteer event on September the 9th. He had 11 people come out and spread mulch under the big pecan tree. It was a really intimate setting, but all of the volunteers were really happy. I think one of the ladies, it was actually her birthday, and that was something she chose to do, the one there with the two small kids.
Very nice.
And Dave has been really busy. He actually has also received 2 grants that we were notified this week. He received a $5,000 grant from Texas by Nature through HEB. It's Trees for Texans. He hopes to use that with the Arbor Day event this year, so it's $5,000. And then we also were notified that we received grant funding from the USDA and the U.S. Forest Service for the Inflation Reduction Act. There's only 4 cities in the state of Texas that got funding for that. So we will be getting $150,000 for that. It is a specific project, and I believe that we have a 5-year time frame to be able to utilize those funds. So, and I'm sure at the next meeting that we have, the Tree Care Advisory, he can have more information to share with the commission on that. And then we have recreation program updates. Jonathan's going to come up and provide that update for you all.
Hello, everybody. Jonathan Hansen, Rec Superintendent. So, as you can see, we have a lot going on coming up. It's getting into our busy time. So, we have yoga, a couple of trips, one to Longhorn Cavern State Park. We also have a fall creek cleanup coming up. Mother-son superhero night. Staff has been working really hard to be prepped for that. That's on September 30th. A couple more trips to the zoo, and then you'll see down there the senior programs. The card clubs are being heavily used right now, so there are a lot of people participating in card clubs, so come check it out. We got a Foodie Friday tomorrow, a trip to the National Museum of the Pacific War for the seniors coming up. Also another trip to the George Washington Carver Museum, another Foodie Friday at Mulligan's, which is a good place, and then explore downtown Greene, so another trip there.
Man, I can't wait till I retire.
Lots to do.
That's awesome.
So just wanted to highlight the cardboard boat regatta was this last Saturday at Gillen Creek Pool. You can see the kids had a great time. If you look in the left picture, you'll see 2 boats upright and then one upside down. So people did get wet, but they had a great time. Luckily, the weather held out for us. It didn't rain on us. And then winners for the age divisions got cardboard trophies to match the cardboard boat regatta. Really well attended. There were about 50 people, 50 individual registrations. There were probably another 50 to 75 visitors who were just watching someone sail one of their intrepid boats. So I do want to highlight that we are still in September, so we are still doing the Parks for Pollinators Month. We actually have a class coming up this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11:30 in the Best Little Plaza. It's sponsored by our friends at the Monarch Sanctuary Project. It'll be education on how to transform your backyard into a native pollinator paradise. There will be some free plants, some free native plants available as well. So share the news and then come out and check out the class and learn some good information.
Is there a way for anybody to get the plants if they can't attend? Or do they have to attend to get the plants?
I'll check and see. It'll probably depend on how many they give away
Okay.
at the event. But reach out to me.
Okay, sounds great.
Music in the Park is coming up. It's our last one, so your last opportunity. It'll be in Pfluger Park from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. on the 29th. It's the Hot Pickin' 57s. They were at the most recent Coffee and Fuel as well, so great band. Come and check them out. Kona Ice will be there to serve some refreshments as well. And then I wanted to highlight some upcoming permanent events. These will probably be events that people will ask you about, and so I wanted to give you a heads up that this Saturday the U.S. Road Running is having a 5/10K walk/run at Finnig Park. The Healthy Kids Running Series, this is a series that's set up for kids, as young as 2 years old. You can see there's different lengths of the races based on the age groups. That's at Lake Pflugerville. They're doing that for 5 Saturdays with a rain out day added to the end as well. Central Texas Philharmonic Orchestra concert. So this is a potential partnership down the road for Music in the Park. They will be at Pfluger Park on October 8th for a free concert. So we're really excited about that. It's a cool, unique event. And then the Fear Hide House, they are applying for a permit for October 26th through the 29th in the Old Gin Food Court.
And that's everything for our director's update. Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Item 4B, discussion regarding Foundation Subcommittee update.
So this is on here for the subcommittee to provide an update. I'm gonna let them lead that, but we have some bullet points up here, and I'm not sure which one of you, or you want me to go down the list, or Jennifer?
Yeah, I can. So we've met and we've kind of started just getting the first steps of the foundation. So we are dabbling in the vision purpose statement, so that's something that's going to come next. But we have started the paperwork for the nonprofit status. We haven't submitted it yet, but with the paperwork we had to choose officers, so we've assigned officer roles. We also had to have an address, so we opened up a PO box. And then this is the logo that we've been working on that right now is kind of at the top of our list. Other than that, we still have a lot of work to do. We need to develop an MOU with the city, work on our bylaws. Anything else I'm missing, Carol, Chelsea?
So who are the officers? Just you guys?
Us and Scott. Yeah. So, and then we have one other person that's expressed interest, one other community member that's expressed interest of joining the board. So, yeah. So we have a ways to go, but we're getting it started. So getting the ball rolling.
And we have some next steps as well. The subcommittee is going to continue to work through all the things that Jennifer mentioned, but some of the next steps include coming back to the commission. We had a meeting before this, so we're thinking in November, hopefully. And then a potential workshop, lunch and learn format with the city council for support. So we're really energized from the last work session when we had Stacy come in. She also followed up and shared all of the documents that she said she would, so we have a great jumping off point. It's really great.
And we're anticipating joining the Deutschen Fest and having at least a place for folks to give us their email addresses if they'd like to be part of a newsletter, so we can keep them in mind and give them communications as we get a website in place and more information, and or actually have our 501c status. So.
Are you gonna have like a scan code? How do you intend to get the email address? A QR code, or are you just gonna have a clipboard, or?
We have probably a clipboard, but we could do a QR code that leads to like a Google form that people could fill out and then have the Google
Or do
form
both,
created.
maybe even, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome. Yeah, if you're interested, do that.
Right,
Yeah.
because, you know, the younger folks will
Yeah, no, that's a good
want the
point.
QR code, and us old folks are just like, give me the piece of paper, I'll write my name down.
Yeah.
So that way we hit everybody.
Great.
Okay, is that it? All right. So item 4C, discussion regarding composting program support letter.
So I emailed this out at one of our previous meetings. The direction was to give Chelsea and Jennifer the opportunity to put a letter together. So they did just that. I emailed that out. I also have a print copy if anybody wanted it. And we have it up there. I know it's kind of small, but this is just a time for everybody to maybe give their feedback. And then we would have to put it on another agenda to gain support to send it forward. So, yeah, a time for discussion and any feedback you have.
I had a lot of questions, but I don't know if they are, I mean, if we're just talking about the letter, then I don't have a lot of comment. But I do have some questions around like how we would do the program itself. So is that better suited for our next meeting?
I would think so. Yeah, this would be focused just on the letter of support. And remember, it's just a stance of how the commission
Yeah.
feels towards it. So it could be inactionable when it got to public works for consideration on the next contract that they put out.
Right, I don't know what, Lisa, I don't know what you imagine we would, I mean, all we're doing is saying, yes, this is a letter we want to.
Right, that's what
What
I-
would we be doing at the next, I mean, there's not anything.
Oh, I just
short-term.
had different questions. Like if I was somebody who was wanting to participate, I would have these questions.
Okay, I see, okay, so
Yeah.
you weren't thinking about the commission necessarily.
Right.
Are you
I'm trying to
looking at the
anticipate,
printed copy?
yeah,
Oh.
I'm trying to anticipate what somebody would ask
I see.
to get ahead of that.
I mean, I was a part of writing it, but I was gonna pull up, but I'm having a hard time finding the attachment.
Oh, she's got some copies here.
Oh, yeah, do you want to
Yeah.
have one?
I did
even
have,
had, as a writer, I had a few questions. I just wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page so that we could finalize it and.
like, I'm looking at this as a non-composter, so, we need to assume that not everybody will be compost literate. So I think we need to make sure and spell out what it would be, which we have somewhat, but we have food soiled paper and natural fibers. What are we talking about with natural fibers? Like, we might want to explain what that is, because I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, and I think the letter itself would go to the Public Works Department, so
So
it wouldn't
they
be
would
for
know?
the public. Yeah,
Okay.
they would know. And
Okay.
it would be saying, hey,
Yeah,
the-
this is going to the city, or
To
to
the-
the council, or to the whatever department.
yes,
or
and
whatever.
it's basically just, it's speaking their language.
Okay,
So they would certainly know.
so it doesn't
what-
have to speak Lisa language
No.
right now.
or
Perfect.
the general public.
Yeah.
And what would happen is it's just saying, hey, the commission supports this. If funding allowed or what that looked like, it would just be a recommendation from the commission saying we really support composting and those efforts. And then if it was something that was negotiated into the contract, then we would have a whole marketing campaign with comms or even whoever the waste vendor is, they would have all those materials already available.
Gotcha. All right, so for today, we're just looking at, is there any feedback we want to give to the letter? And then next, since this one's just to discuss only, we would vote on it at next meeting.
Yeah, make any adjustments that anyone requests to the letter. A question I had, so this is addressed to the Public Works Department. I had spoken to someone who has, done some things like these types of letters, and one of their thoughts on this was, should this go to the city council as them supporting it to the Public Works Department? But I don't know, what your thoughts or maybe Shane's thought would be on if this is directed to the city council, what does that, look like? Do they just recognize the letter and say they agree with that recommendation? Is it more appropriate that this goes directly to the Public Works Department? So that was one question I had of, is the Public Works Department who this should go to, or should it be the city council?
I would think we
instead?
would want to at least make the city council directly aware that we're doing it.
I'm looking at Emily. Sorry, Emily.
You're good.
So when other commissions have had something similar, whether it's a resolution or recommendation, they would have written the letter to the mayor, and the mayor then directs the city manager to place it on the agenda, or would be then responsive to the commission based on what the request was. So it's a resolution, or this might be that to support a future budget request from Public Works, and so I would address it to the mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily.
I'd say then the Dear Pflugerville Public Works Department changes to a paragraph of Dear Mayor, and then the request of we'd like your support to the Public Works, right? Like what mechanically needs to happen to get support for it.
Okay.
I really like the examples.
Yeah.
More of a citizen question, I think, comes up of, and I think this came up the last time we talked about this, is where does it go to compost? Because we run into the, not my backyard scenario. So I don't know if this is it's all taken
So
outside of Pflugerville.
Yeah, from my understanding, if it was the Public Works Department and they negotiated into their contract, it would be a pickup service similar to trash and recycling that'd be taken to a facility. So it's not like the issue that with having land for it wasn't compost. What was the one that we just talked about
It was the
recently?
mulch.
The mulch.
Oh, the
and
mulch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Compost.
a situation like that. They would remove it and take it to another facility and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
One thing I will note too, just as kind of a side note, I really, really, really had to scrub a lot of Pflugerville documents to find any kind of sustainable commitments or guidelines or any goals that Pflugerville had regarding true measurable, sustainable goals. So the only thing I was really able to find, which is quoted in here, is from the guiding principle, environmental sustainability in the Aspire Pflugerville 2040 comprehensive plan. So if there's anything else
That's
that
the-
y'all know of that has any sustainable goals that we can kind of say, that this effort would be in alignment with a goal that has been formally recognized by the city of Pflugerville, that would be really helpful too for
I
this
think
letter.
Aspire 2040 would be the guiding document. So if you found how it aligns with Aspire 2040,
Kind of, it just says protect and preserve the environment, including air quality and water quality for future generations, so.
But I think that's because Aspire is a huge umbrella
broad,
document.
yeah.
And so what we're saying is we want to put legs under it, and here's
Yeah.
one of the legs.
Yeah, and I don't know-
Or find where the city has already
Right.
made
Yeah, has there ever
more-
been a
more
sustainability
measurable.
commitment
Right.
ever made by the city of Pflugerville or the city council that we can allude to in here? That would be awesome. I,
can-
I Googled and searched a
Yeah.
lot of these things.
I don't know any off the top of my head, but I can certainly go back and look and talk to Shane as well. But I definitely think, and I agree with Carol, giving legs to some of the goals within Aspire 2040 and tying back to that. That's something that we're tasked with as city staff all the time. So I think that's a great start, definitely.
And do we like the idea that it says curbside composting collection program? I mean, I think that should be our initial ask, and then if it is, because we talked about the idea of maybe it being more of like a neighborhood-based thing, like more centralized facilities, but this is written as a true, like, but I guess curbside, that can be up to interpretation whenever the Public Works decided to negotiate this. Okay.
And I think the general message is supporting the goal, and even though you're mentioning one specific implementation, if they came up with a different implementation to support the same goal, I think that would be fine, right?
Cool. All right. Any other like thoughts or comments we can incorporate into this letter and then bring it to the next meeting?
So back to what you're saying, that paragraph says, to support Pflugerville citizens in the mission to reduce waste, we request that whatever the contract negotiation, a curbside composting collection program. Do we want to, I want to make sure that we don't leave it to where somebody could say, no, we're not going to do a curbside program. Could we add something or a similar program or wording that doesn't just narrow it to curbside?
Oh, yeah, or I see what you're saying.
You could literally do that by just crossing out curbside and just making it a
Compost
composting.
Yes,
collection.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I agree with you. So even in the first one, we members of the Pflugerville Parks and Recreation Commission come together to share our strong support for a composting collection
Yes.
program
Yeah.
for the city of Pflugerville. Okay,
Agreed.
okay. And then what are your thoughts on if we remove curbside, maybe having the recommendation of, I don't know, because often what happens is there's a pilot program. Usually folks aren't able to just kind of roll out a program like this. There's a pilot program and then there's like an extended use, and as they see the value, it gets, but I guess we don't have to kind of say, please consider, future rollout. It can be in phases, but I guess that's up to folks to decide. Okay.
Well, and to Stan's point, right now, we're just trying to get
Yeah.
their buy-in, that
That
they
they
would be
agree
in
with the
support of it,
Yeah, we should focus on the goal, not the implementation at this
Yes.
point.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
Right. Any other
And
comments?
I think it's good that you mentioned curbside as an example, so that's fine, it's in there, but it's
But we
not-
don't want to limit it.
Right, but
Yes.
that's not saying that's not necessarily what we're gonna do, but this other city was successful with that.
Yeah. Because they'll ask for more information if they need it. All right, any other comments before we move on? All right, thank you, everyone. Item 4D, discussion regarding Deutschenfest updates.
All right. Jonathan is going to join us again for this.
Yay.
Some of you might know already, but Caitlin, who ran Deutschenfest, is no longer with the city. So we've had to shift some gears, and Jonathan and his team have been really busy implementing so that we still have an excellent festival right around the corner. So we are going to provide you with an update, some information.
Yeah, so a little bit of information, just so you know the date that's coming up. It's October 20th and 21st, and then the Fun Run and Community Fair are on October 22nd. Pre-sales are open for tickets, and so you can start going and purchasing tickets, t-shirts, all those kind of things at the website, deutschenfest.com. And start purchasing all the items that you would need to show up for that event. We're super excited about it. We're working very, very hard, like Kelsey said, to make sure it's a good event. She's not kidding. It's only 28 days away, so it is right around the corner. But we are working very, very hard on it.
And I'll throw out there, you see the Deutschenfest emblem here. Our comms team was really busy in the off season, and they redid the entire website. So if you haven't seen it yet, it looks really, really good. And they also added that same hat to Hans.
And a small note, Hans has legs now. He previously was just the top half figure. So, like I said, 28 days out. It's coming up quick. We have split our recreation staff into multiple committees to work with those committee members to make sure that all the items are being checked off the list. Current signups, right now we have 110 people signed up for the fun run. We have 137 out of 192 staff volunteers. And then we have currently 34 out of 96 community volunteers. So there's still plenty of positions available to get involved. So please share with people and be our representatives out in the community.
Are we going to have a Parks and Rec booth like we normally do? That we're staffing?
So
Yes.
Have we already staffed
There's
that?
an info table that said only staff or commission members can serve at it, and I volunteered for it. But I don't know if that's.
But
the
we
Parks and Rec.
typically
You're
have
signed
just.
up now.
I already signed up for that one.
Well, we will also have a table for the commission
Okay.
Okay.
as well.
Well, then
But
we-
have we sent out a sign
We
up for
have
that?
not. We will.
We need to.
Yes.
Yes.
So next up is the logistics update. So we have all the performers spots filled. We're working through contracts on all of those. There will be 3 performance areas. There'll be the main stage, the gazebo, and then we're also going to use Gillian Creek Pavilion. So that'll be outside of the gate. So that's an extra chance to hear some music. Right now we have 36 regular market vendors, 17 food vendors, 2 nonprofit alcohol vendors. And then for the community fair right now, this number will go up as we move people around, but right now there are 27 community fair vendors. Now I just wanted to throw it out there, we're planning on 10 carnival rides, so that was a big ask from last year, is to make sure that we included additional carnival rides, so we're working very hard to try and make that happen this year.
Are those actual rides? Like we normally have like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Rides,
so
not booths.
There are 10 actual rides.
Okay,
Yes,
interesting.
So,
Including a Ferris wheel.
yes.
Is it gonna be in the same area where it used to be, over in the grass on the western portion?
That's a great question. Staff are still working on the logistics
Okay.
of where all of that goes. 10 rides, that's a lot of rides
That
to
is
fit
a lot.
in without
Yeah,
sitting it right on top of someone who's trying to watch the concert. And so we're working on where to space those out correctly to make sure they're safe and that people can also enjoy them.
okay.
And they are all included with the admission fee. There's no additional fee to ride
very
the rides.
nice.
It's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
That is a huge benefit, yeah. So if you had them, they don't have to be in an area like they were before, right? All the rides, all the carnival stuff was over on the west side, so we could have it like this since it's all included.
Staff right now is looking at doing more in one area,
Okay,
but each one is individually fenced. And so the lines can kind of wrap around out of the fence area.
okay,
So-
good, because that was a problem in the past. Okay, the congestion, okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Jonathan. All right, discuss and consider, do we have anything else? No?
Yes, I agree.
Where is, what am I missing?
Trail
Okay,
capital.
5B, discuss and consider action on Pflugerville Trail Capital of Texas branding.
This is the most exciting thing of the night. So we have, as you know, through the master plan process, it was discovered, well, we already knew, but we found that we had more trail mileage per capita than any other city in Texas. So we have over 56 miles of dedicated trails. And we had a resolution that went to City Council, which they unanimously supported, proclaiming Pflugerville as the trail capital of Texas on July 25th. One of the major components of the success would be the logo or the brand of that initiative. So tonight we have 4 options for you to review. unveil, really. Nobody's seen them outside of staff yet. So the branding is going to be used on various marketing collateral, incorporated on digital and print media. We also envision it being included in Parks and Trails projects. So it could be used, I'm just going to say, like as an emblem on the trail, right? Like we can put it anywhere. Maybe a water tower. Maybe not. But the goal is to build an identity that communicates trails as a symbol of the city. So not just trails, but natural environment, healthy lifestyles, connectivity, and accessibility within the community. And then your recommendation will go to City Council for consideration next Tuesday. So here's option 1. We have 4 options. 2 were designed by Barry Dunn, and then 2 were done by a contract designer that the city works with. So this is option 1. You don't have to plug it into your photo memory. We have them all at the end for you to review again. This is option 2. Option 3. And option 4. So there's all 4 options.
Now, where could we see these put? Because that may determine, right, which one we would choose,
Certainly.
depending on the orientation. And
So they,
what? Oh, okay.
We would want to use them on various collateral. So possibly a T-shirt, maybe a water bottle or a cup, different things that you'd see us give out, whether it's at a fair or festival, a frisbee. It could be something that you have on a website, right? Like the chamber would start using it to market people to come to Pflugerville. So it would need to be something that's versatile and could be used in many different forms.
That's why I was asking, because I personally like the second one, but then I think about all those would look great on a T-shirt, but then if we wanted to put them, like you said, on these, then what would look good? And
Right.
you want to have something that can be used.
The first one makes the best emblem, right? Like I'm thinking like stamped out of metal and like put somewhere or whatever. For signage, I mean, we developed all of them. I think you could argue we make T-shirts with all 4 of them, and probably people would buy them, right?
Yeah.
Is it, maybe this dates me, but is it important to know which ones would look better in black and white only? Although I don't think there's much difference. I think they would all be fine
So-
in black and white.
That's a good point, because a lot of times you want them to be able to
I don't
be
know,
in.
Printing has gotten to the point where you can
Yeah.
always do it in color. Well, I want to say 4 doesn't have the name of the city, so that
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Correct.
think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're eliminating 4.
Agreed.
So 2 makes the city the main focus. 3 makes the city very small, and 1 kind of balances the city with the trail capital.
I feel like 1 and 2 even like look nice together. I mean, I guess we have to choose one, but it's like for like stickers, 1 would be really nice, and then for T-shirts, I feel like number 2 would be really nice.
Yeah.
And they have a similar aesthetic.
If for official
To them.
logo, I feel like 1 makes it, and then
Yeah.
we should run some Pflugerville T-shirts that say Trail Capital of Texas, right? Like we could do a whole series of, because we have the Parks and Rec T-shirts as well, right? And they're available here. We could put them at the Three-Legged Goat. Like there's probably a few local businesses that,
Right.
West Pecan will put them on that shelf they have, right? That's just like a la carte stuff to purchase.
So I assume that the light, number 2, the light blue thing is supposed to be a
Map.
paper
It's a map.
map?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do we think everybody will recognize a paper map?
I think Lisa said she still has a paper map.
I do still have paper
I do
maps.
too, but yes, that's my point, Lisa. We
But we will
recognize
be
paper.
educating people in many ways.
I didn't even think of that. That's
And then
fun.
on number 1, the back, or the back, what's behind Texas is supposed to be like,
Topographical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think,
I like that.
people
Oh,
see
so it
that,
is
people see that on the maps on their
Okay.
phones sometimes.
I was about to say, I was like, I used to be a water resource engineer. I just think of that. I didn't know if that was supposed to be trails. I was like, but I read that as topographic. Yeah. But it looks like trails too, you know.
They do look, I thought they were trails,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
don't like the fact that on number 2, the trail looks like it's going to South Texas. I think the trail should go to the heart of Pflugerville.
That's a good point.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with South Texas, but that's not where we live.
Yeah, I think that trying to make it, the paper map and the trail, trying to make it look
The
like a
trail should
map
go
is-
to the
it's
heart,
just- it's
just where
kind of-
Pflugerville is.
I think it could be tweaked to something a little better, but it's not quite.
Yeah.
Those two.
I
combined.
really like the colors, number 3.
I like the
Yeah,
colors
it's-
as well, but then talking about the black and white.
Oh, and
like-
also printing, well.
Yeah, but,
Well, but
so
printing-
if I close my eyes and look at it in black and white, it still stands out.
Yeah.
So
It's
there's
But if
prob-
you, if you want to put it on a color T-shirt, though, I think you'd have more challenge with the multicolors
Right.
of 3.
That's right. I don't know.
You know, do you
I
put
don't-
it on blue, or do you put it on an orange, or do you put it on a green? Well, then you got to worry about the letters not showing up, and
And also, I don't know a lot about printing, but printing solid colors is cheaper.
It's
than-
cheaper,
than-
yes.
Than those gradient and stuff.
That is
So
correct.
the only one that doesn't have any colors, as many colors, is the first one, because the others all have blue and orange and
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And like Stan mentioned, typically once we make a selection, the artist would make a few renditions.
I would imagine if we chose 3, they would probably also make one that
Right.
was one solid color,
Yeah.
one solid color, one
Yes.
solid color. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree that I don't, I like number 3, but the Pflugerville gets kind of,
It's hard to read.
it is, and
That's
it's
the
kind of
only-
overshadowed.
That's the only
Yeah.
part of it I don't like. I really like number 4 if they just stick Pflugerville with it.
I agree with that. It'd be cool if they like put it in the shoe.
Yeah.
That was
Are we-
something that
are
we talked about.
Are we,
Yeah.
do we have options to send it back, or are we voting tonight?
We can make a vote with a recommendation to change X, right?
Which we did for the bench and it turned out beautifully.
Yeah. They don't have to take the recommendation, but we can make a recommendation to go forward with an amendment to it.
Like if it
Recommendation.
was option 2 and you wanted the trail to go to the heart instead
Yes,
of
right.
something
yes.
small
Right.
could be easily
We're
implemented.
adding Pflugerville to the last one.
But we need to choose one, right?
Yes.
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 Let's all on the count of 3 put up the number of fingers in it.
For me, I think number 1 has the most, I mean, for me, has the most impact.
I actually agree with that.
Yeah, I like number 1
find
as
it
well.
hard to read.
I think it's boring.
Yeah.
I think a little bit extra color would be nice, but it's my favorite of the 4, I think.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like same old, same old.
Well, what I like about 2 is I don't have to sit there and read a circle, right? Immediately I see Pflugerville and I go, oh, okay. And then what is it about Pflugerville that's interesting? Oh, well, it's a trail capital. Whereas with the other, you have to go, trail capital of Texas, Pflugerville, oh, okay. And by that time, I've lost interest. I like the fact that Pflugerville on number 2 is just kind of in your face.
That was a good question. Do we have any concern that people are not gonna understand that's a map? I mean, I immediately thought it was a map.
Yeah.
Like, does that date
We have
that,
trail
like
maps.
in 15 years, does that date
Well, the
that
thing-
image having a map if,
Topographic maps are 300 years old.
But the other thing that bothered me about
No, I
that
mean-
is that
though.
the
The second
curvy
one.
line does not follow the folds. And that really bothers me.
Yeah,
The what now?
So they have that curvy line for the trail,
right.
Uh-huh.
but the paper is folded.
Oh, I
and
see.
the curvy line
Well, when it goes
doesn't-
to
That's what I
Pflugerville,
feel
it'll
like,
be
yeah.
fixed, don't worry.
Funny, I didn't notice either of those things.
Yeah,
The
I feel like.
tiebreaker for me is if we're like making a declaration that we're the trail capital of Texas, presumably there is other cities and towns that will come along and also have trails, and then we've got a stated per capita rate, so there could be another town that someday has more trails per capita than us that wants to quote unquote say, so there's some sort of a like award or officialness of it, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
a seal
a
of
trademark.
authenticity we're
we
making, and that's what leads me, I think, towards one more than the other logo. I mean, they're all great, but if we wanted to have it be some sort of like badge of honor or something that we like declared.
And we will also be working to
I
trademark.
was gonna say, if
Trail
anybody else comes
capital,
along and tries to
this-
usurp us, we'll sue them.
This is just one step in the process. So once we identify and select a logo or a brand, we would then trademark, and then we would work through the Texas legislature to make it official, to have a proclamation at that level. So city council has done it locally, but you can only do that during the legislative session, so we have to wait the 2-year span to do that.
You could call a special session.
So
Just for us.
At that point though, we'd have to add the TM, right? Once it's trademarked.
Not necessarily on everything we did, but we could.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it can be
Yeah, it doesn't have to be big.
I mean, the second is my favorite aesthetically, but I'm really worried in 15 years that a map.
I don't think we should worry about 15 years.
Yeah, I
mean,
agree.
Everything Shane talks about is like, this has a expected lifespan of 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll change, we'll have something new in
I mean, but if
15
it's,
years.
I mean, I guess so. If it's an emblem, it's not trademark. It's more of the term.
Right.
Trail
Yeah,
of
the term
Capital.
That's right,
Texas,
that's what we're saying,
yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, we'll have a new emblem with the same trademark
Yeah.
phrase.
The first one, for some reason, reminds me of those little kids sewing projects.
All right, I will make a recommendation. I will make a motion. Somebody has to make a motion. I will make a motion that we accept number 2, Pflugerville Trail Capital of Texas, as our recommendation to City Council.
Are we gonna fix the trail?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome.
With fixing the trail so that it goes to the heart representing Pflugerville. That is my recommendation.
Second.
Do we have a second? Yep.
Second.
Okay, Michael second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. That was easier than I thought it would be.
Strong opinions loosely held.
Right.
All right, let's see, is that it? 5C, discuss and consider items on future Parks and Rec
Definitely.
Commission meeting agendas. We know that we want to add in the letter, so that will have to be a discuss and consider.
Yes. We typically have a list here of things that the staff recommends, but we don't have anything for next meeting other than
Okay.
the letter. So if there's anything else.
Is tree advisory next month, or is that November?
November.
Okay.
Foundation update.
Okay,
I thought we said November.
Oh yeah, never mind. I guess we wouldn't have to give an update at the next one. We can just give, okay.
Do we wanna do a school planting update? I know it's not the tree care advisory board, but by the time the next meeting comes, the trees will be planted.
This is true, so that would be good.
Yeah.
Do we want to drag our arborist back in at some point and talk, once he's got his feet on the ground? Maybe not next month.
He loves to talk about trees.
just don't tell certain people when he's coming. Oh, next time. No, I think that's a great idea.
So I guess that would be just a report on what he's up to again.
What is our
I'm sorry,
pollinator?
what is his title? He's not an arborist, he's a
Urban forester.
urban forester.
Should we have a pollinator up there? Let us have. We could do a pollinator subcommittee
That's a good
update,
one.
because our next one is beginning of October.
Okay.
We should have a purpose and everything.
A pollinator purpose,
Pollinator purpose.
Potentially.
potentially? Lots of bees. All right, any others? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Carol. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Chelsea, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the time is 8:03.